Hi everyone, I'm doing a quick interruption to my 2022 Tarot Roundup series because I'm going to do a Hush Tarot review real quick. Keep talking about this deck, it comes up in freaking every video, so I just thought I'd do a quick review and then I have a video where I can get all that out, and if you want to hear about it, you can hear about it, and if you don't want to hear about it, you can just skip it when you're watching other videos of mine. So let's talk about the Hush Tarot real quick. All right, so the physical deck itself, I don't have the box. My son loves playing with these boxes, so sometimes I give those to him to keep him busy. And that one, he didn't destroy. He threw it out of his crib and I stepped on it. So the box is trashed. But it's okay because the Hush Tarot has its own little leather carrying case that I keep it in. But it comes with a great box, US Games. I have no issues with the card stock at all. It is a little bit wider than your typical tarot deck. Here is the Brian Froud's Fairy deck, just as a comparison. I don't have a tarot deck super handy that will help you. It's just a teensy bit wider, but also a little bit shorter. So I actually really love the size of this deck. It fits perfectly in my hands. It shuffles great. I have no issues. The cardstock did take a little bit to break in. It was real stiff for a little bit, but I've not had an issue with it. It's doing a little bit of that. It's a little bit hard to see where we have that like wave, but it doesn't bother me as my decks break in when they do a little bit of that stuff. Here's the backing. I don't love the backing. They're not my favorites, but I don't have an issue with them either. And the cards do have a border. But I like that. I enjoy borders like this. I don't love, for example, the big borders on this deck, but I do enjoy little borders like this. I have other decks that do that as well. Not sitting here, but I have other decks that do that as well, and I don't have a problem with that. I wonder if it's my Illuminated Earth Oracle. Yeah. So the Illuminated Earth Oracle has a similar one, and anyway, little border, don't mind it. All right, this deck, beautiful. Everything about it, in my opinion, is beautiful. The color palette is earthy. There are a lot of animals in this deck. There are a lot of decaying figures and a lot of animal machinery sort of hybrids. When we get to one, I'll point it out. There is a lot of tangles, weeds, things that are constricting the figures. So here is the King of Cups, for example, and you can see when you look at it, he has weeds down at the bottom. He's got kind of ropes around on him. So we have a lot of that stuff. We also have, things that are breaking down. Here's a shield. We have, harpies, is that the word I'm looking for? So we have a lot of things like that. Here's the death card. Here's what I was talking about. There's the hermit. So you can see it's an owl and it has gears in it. So I talked about this in my decks for fall. I think this has been on literally any list I have done so far, except for my Reconnect deck list. I think it's been on all of them because I love it and I use it all the time. Where was I going with that? Anyway, okay. This deck, Deep Diver, lots of questions, takes the long way around, so it's not going to, so here's what I have found about this deck. When I need it to, it will give me simple answers, but mostly it likes to give a chatty, roundabout, very deep sort of answer that has lots of questions. So I use this deck a lot for shadow work because of that. It asks a lot of questions, and it has all of these tangles, it has all of these weeds, it has all these ropes, it has all of these figures that, are they alive, are they decaying, are they machinery, are they animal, what's the real thing, what's not, what's the mask? For me, it is a fantastic shadow work deck, and it is also very much a deck where I might ask a question and it will go, that is not the question you should have asked. Here's the question you should have asked, and here's the answer. So while I have found, especially in combination with the Earthbound Oracle, which I'll get out in a second. You can get straight answers out of this deck, but you can also get very deep, long-winded answers, and I love it for that. I absolutely love it for that. The guidebook is little, but really impactful. I think that it really helps you to understand why certain pieces of art were chosen for different cards. It gives you really interesting little takes on card meanings that, especially for me, when it comes to shadow work, can be really helpful. So I use this for shadow work. I use it for daily draws. I use it for just general pulls. I don't do a lot of big spreads with this deck because while I find this to be true with most tarot decks, I especially find this to be true with the Hush Tarot, that I will pull one card, so let's say I have like a 6-card spread. I will get all 6 of those questions answered on the first card. It will bring all of those answers up for me. And also ask me 3 other questions I hadn't thought to ask, but should have, and I'll get that all out of one card. And this is also very much a deck that is going to, for me, and this is one of the reasons I don't use it for other people very often, is where something like the Tarot of the Abyss, when I'm reading for other people, will go in a very kind and compassionate way. I know you don't want to look at this, but I really think you should. This one will go, here's that secret you've been keeping, it's time to look at it. That thing deep down in the depths of your unconscious that you have been avoiding and you put in a box and you shut in a closet, here it is, let's take it out and let's look at it. And that can be a little bit confronting, but I don't find it to be a confronting deck. Almost the only oracle that I read this with is the Earthbound Oracle. It goes well with like both of Claire Mack's decks, the Faceted Garden, the Earthbound Oracle. It actually does well with Brian Froud's Fairy Oracle. I read this almost exclusively with the Earthbound Oracle. Let me grab it. So here's the Earthbound Oracle, one of my favorite oracle decks. And the reason that I read these 2 decks together is that the Hush Tarot is so super chatty. Chit chat, here's all these things, here's the roundabout way. And then the Earthbound Oracle comes in and helps to keep it on track. Okay? So where we might pull the world, and get just, okay, so much here, clarify this for me. And then we have this and we come in and we say obfuscate. We've got this simple artwork. We've got this deck that is very simple, to the point, but still has a lot going on, simple artwork with enough going on to really sink your teeth into, but it helps to keep the Hush Tarot on track. So it's like when my husband and I are in a conversation with somebody and I'm ramble, and then my husband goes, so here's the point, and he can just narrow it down. It's kind of how these 2 decks communicate with each other. So I love that. It also pairs beautifully with the Darkness of Light Tarot and Pagan Otherworlds Tarot. So in my reading with 2 decks video, I think I paired this with the Pagan Otherworlds, and I did a sample reading that way. It also pairs beautifully with the Darkness of Light Tarot, which is one of my favorite tarot decks of all time. It, in the guidebook, there is a 4-card spread, and it is my favorite 4-card spread of all time. So there's a little 4-card spread here. My only complaint with this deck, is the Lover's card. And hear me out. Here's why. So this is Shiva and Parvati and their wedding. And if you know anything about the Hindu pantheon, this is a very significant god and story. And I have a deep, deep reverence for Hinduism as a religion, for the whole pantheon, for all of its gods. It was the first religion that I studied. I studied it in college, and that was outside of primarily Christianity, but I had taken 1 or 2 other courses that also talked a little bit about Judaism and Islam in it. So this was the first one. Oh, there we go. That was the first religion that I studied that really showed me what else could be out there. And I have a deep, deep reverence for Hinduism for that reason. It was so healing for me. It was so mind-opening for me. I have at no point been a part of the Hindu religion, but I have a deep, deep respect and reverence for it. And so I don't have an issue with this card. I love this story. I love this god. I love all of this. But it feels out of place to me because we don't have any other god and goddesses in this deck. We don't have anything else from the Hindu pantheon in this deck. And so it just feels a little bit out of place to me. So I will be doing a reading and I'll get, if I'm pulling 3 cards and I'll get these 2 cards where I've got birds and I've got earth and I've got this stuff. And then I have this god and goddess come up, and it's a little bit jarring for me. Now it works. I understand why they were chosen as the Lovers card. This is a fantastic story and god goddess pair for the Lovers card. I can't even think of a better one. This is fantastic. It just feels out of place to me in this deck. So it's a teensy bit jarring to me to have when I'm doing multiple card spread in this deck. Anyway, so this is the Hush Tarot. It was one of the first decks I started using again after I had my son. When my son was born, before my son was born, I did very little tarot, very little deep meditation, no ritual. My body didn't want me expending energy that way. I would get physically ill just like looking at my reading table and thinking about reading. I did not get rid of any of my decks. And for whatever reason, this was the first deck I came back to when I did start reading again shortly after he was born. I started with Daily Draws, this and the Earthbound Oracle, these 2 together. And I found the combination to be honest, to be loving, to be compassionate, and to give me as much or as little information as I could digest at the time. And perhaps that's one of the reasons that I do love this deck so much, is because of the point in my life when I reconnected with it. So I'd had it before. So the deck was produced or published in 2020, and I did not purchase it right away because I remember seeing ads for it. A little side note, if I can find the card, the wheel is the one that always comes up on the ads. I'll see if I can find it. But I did not purchase it right away, but I had this card or this deck, before my pregnancy began. And I had used it and I had started to connect with it and I really enjoyed it, but I didn't have the same deep connection with it that I have now. And then I'll just end on this little random story. So this is the Wheel of Fortune. And if anybody else had this experience, let me know, or if this was just me. This is the card that kept coming up on the ads. I legit thought this was a sloth. Okay, so hold on. Just like when it's a little bit back here, like I legit thought this was like some sort of funky looking sloth character with like, this is its head and like its little like nose and like a little mask there. So it would have like the white around the eyes. There's its nose and here's like its little hand coming up out of the water. Legitimately thought this was a sloth. You guys, it's an ant on a leaf. Okay? It is an ant on a leaf. Makes way more sense than a sloth for the Wheel of Fortune. But I legitimately thought that it was a sloth until I had the deck in my hands and realized it is an ant on a leaf, which is, I think, an excellent representation of the Wheel of Fortune. But anyway, there's my ramble on the Hush Tarot. I just figured it keeps coming up on freaking all of my lists and all of my videos. It's one of my top 5 tarot decks. It's one of my top 5 decks of all time. Like if I was just going to give a list, if I could only have 5 decks to work with for the rest of my life, this would be on the list 100%. Don't even have to think about it. This is one of the decks on the list. So now I have a video that I can send you guys to, and I can just quick mention it on my list, and we don't have to go through all of this every single time that it comes up in a video on my channel, because you guys can just all know this is one of my favorite decks, and now we have a whole video on it. If you have any questions about it, about how it reads, about how it pairs, if there's anything else you'd like to see or know about it, just let me know. I'm happy to talk about it more, but we will end it here. So I will see you in the next video, and I hope that whether or not you love the Hush Tarot as much as I love the Hush Tarot, that you are having a great day, and I will see you later. Bye.